Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Frankie Boyle!
Hello and welcome to New World Order Unseen and Best Bits of Series 5. Joining me tonight are Miles Jupp, Sophie Duker, Kerry Pritchard McLean, Ahir Shah, Jamali Maddox, Desiree Birch, Rob Delaney, Susie McKay, Munya Chihuahua, Olga Koch, Rosie Jones and Erica Ayler. We're filming in Glasgow and Govan. Could go either way, let's be honest. This is great for me because we used to film this in London and I loved it, but I've always found English people, they never quite fully get Scottish people. I think the key to understanding Scotland is that you'd never get a Scottish version of the film The Matrix, because if you offered a Scottish guy 2 pills, he'd take both. The Queen congratulated Emma Raducanu on her victory in the tennis. I thought that was really nice. Just nice to see her sticking up for a teenage girl in a US court. The Queen is paying Andrew's legal fees. That means that we are paying his legal fees. Our taxes are paying his legal fees. That's what that rise in NI was for. Nonce-insurance. Boris Johnson gave a rambling speech to the CBI about Peppa Pig. I like to think that there was a mix-up with the speeches, and somewhere there's a nursery of children being told that refugees aren't welcome. Boris Johnson's dad, Stanley Johnson, has been accused of sexual harassment. So that's now 2 reasons that he should have been chemically castrated in the 1960s. Part of the northern leg of HS2 has been scrapped. It's very disappointing for people in Leeds. They were looking forward to having a new high-speed train that they could step out in front of. The Labour Party have been struggling in the polls, I think because of Keir Starmer. Keir Starmer is sort of like the picture that's in the frame when you buy it. See if you haven't got a personality, make something up. Put a parrot in your shoulder, smoke a pipe, tell people you're double jointed, give us something to work with, Keir. I reckon Keir Starmer has his dinner and is halfway through making love to his wife before she realises that he's come home. In other news, this week, thousands of suspected sex offenders had to report to police stations across Britain to start their shifts. Be interesting to see if that makes the edit, won't it? First up, thank God we're entering the final 50 years of Boris Johnson's government. When David Lynch was casting the Tory cabinet, he found the perfect chancellor, Rishi Sunak, who looks like a Toby jug full of baby oil. He's a rising star in the Johnson Freak Show. Here's the fun-sized fuckstain, joking clumsily with 2 schoolboy journalists in an awkward classroom interview.
Do you prefer Coke or Pepsi?
Do you ask everyone this question? Or not? No, I'm only funny because I'm a massive, so one of these things that not that many people know about me. So I collect Coca-Cola things.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm a Coke addict. Total Coke addict. Just be totally clear. I am a Coca-Cola addict. I have 7 fillings to show for it. So now, yes, exactly. I'm getting in trouble, but no. So I generally do have 7 fillings because I got through a lot of the stuff when I was young, which is very bad. So people should don't do that. Only 1 week, so you don't end up with 7 fillings.
He sort of looked like a schoolboy himself, except he's too small.
I don't see why everyone's like, Rishi's a rock star. Like, there's an amazing moment at the start of this clip where, like, the 2 boys suddenly realise that they are the alphas. Like, oh, boy.
But he's kind of bragging. I've actually got 7 fillings, guys. 7 fillings. Tell you what, boys, why don't I get down on the floor, open my mouth wide, and you can count them.
Also, out of all the Tory MPs who may or may not do coke, I'd say that Rishi Sunak looks genetically modified to do coke. Like, he's 5'7" tall, so you can't see him over the cubicle. He's got satellite ears, so you can hear footsteps approaching from miles away. And his nose is basically an industrial vacuum. So why are we surprised that he's doing coke?
Next up, imagine voting for Keir Starmer. Keir Starmer is the worst leader since Gary Glitter. Look in his eyes and you can see that he knows that in a few years' time he's going to be quite a tricky tiebreaker in a pub quiz. Susie, he just seems so overwhelmingly dull.
We've all met a Keir Starmer. Keir Starmer is the guy that your mate introduces you to as their new boyfriend, and 2 weeks later they say, we had to split up. He kept crying during sex. And he gets turned on by crockery.
In the lead-up to the Labour conference in September, Keir Starmer published an 11,000-word essay which set out in meticulous detail precisely how fucking boring he is. Strange that he chose to use 11,000 words when he really only needed one. 2 if he wanted to add the word utter. When it comes to policy details, Starmer is notoriously hard to pin down, as seen in this intimate grilling from a frosty and unimpressed Beth Rigby on Sky News.
So because they're earning a
you
wage
would prefer
rather than a
wealth
rent.
taxes than a raise of income tax?
I think we should look across the board at something that is fair, but at the moment,
You would
the government...
prefer a wealth tax to raise an income tax?
I think we look at a broad range here, but the idea that we don't... The one thing the
Can you
Prime
just
Minister has
answer
said...
that? Just, do you prefer, in principle, wealth taxes to income tax increases?
I think we need to look at a range of options.
You're not going to answer.
Well, we need to look at a range of options.
I'm trying to pin you down because I actually want you to say yes or no, I think we should look at a wealth tax. It doesn't commit you to the policy. It just says to me that that's your preferred option, and that's very clear, and it's very clear to the public.
I think that Starmer's plan to improve technological innovation in this country is that clip is going to spur me on to invent a time machine so that I can just go into that room and just say fucking wealth tax, just say it! Obviously it's what you mean!
She's so bored of him, it's affected her posture. She's a bored careers advisor being like, have you considered any other careers after Leader of the Opposition?
There was a slight air of British porn to it as well, wasn't there? I haven't necessarily been a naughty boy, no.
Is that one of our sort of growth areas at the moment? Is that what will ultimately replace the industrial sector? Just huge amounts of library-based British porn.
Next up, soon the shithole that is the UK will break up into 4 separate shitholes. After Brexit, support for Scottish independence is higher than ever. Scottish people want back into the EU, largely so they can conga past the English in the non-EU passport queue in Malaga. There's no referendum in sight, and Scotland is left with a sterile politics, presided over by Nicola Sturgeon, the only person in the world who can squint with her whole face. Who has the air of a stepmom that's happy for you to hear her fucking your dad, but loses her mind if you don't use a drinks coaster. And it must be weird being in Northern Ireland these days. Britain doesn't want to let you go, and at the same time, Britain often forgets that you exist. It's like being locked in the basement of someone who doesn't fancy you anymore. Brexit has done wonders to relight the Irish bonfire. And who better to stoke the sectarian fires than Nigel Farage? Here's the human codfish being grilled by an impassive Claire Byrne in a tense interview on RTE.
I know that you apologised for the birthday greeting which you delivered in the last couple of days, but I want people to see just how much you know about the history and culture on this island.
Now, it's a bit early in the day, so all I've got actually is coffee, but I hope you enjoy a few pints with the lads tonight. Up the Ra!
Up the Ra, Nigel. I mean, I know that you said sorry. I know you get 87 quid. It's entirely within your rights to do that. But come on, don't try and lecture the Irish people about the culture and history and precarious nature of peace on this island. You haven't got a clue.
When he says that's coffee, I've always assumed that he basically just recycles his own hot piss. Yeah, it could be.
I just think that you've got Tory MPs sat in the Virgin Islands making millions of pounds, and then you've got Nigel in a cupboard doing videos for fag money.
Do you have a gig over there, Jamali?
Yeah, I remember one time, actually, I was doing a show for this uni, and they weren't laughing. And I did this joke about looking like a terrorist, and everyone kind of looked at me, and I got really mad at them. And I was like, you don't know what it's like for people to think that you're a terrorist. And then I realised I was a loser. I really went over them like, you don't understand my struggle. And they looked at me like, mate.
Next up, technology helping humanity to record its death spasms as it goes hurtling into the abyss. When AI becomes conscious, the first thing it will do is to free all the car-building robots, and they'll wander slowly out of their factories, pulling people apart like garlic bread. That said, we've still got a couple of years of planetary dominance left, as we see from this oddly comforting and typically enthusiastic one-show report on a robot artist.
Can I introduce you to Ada, the first ultra-realistic robot artist in the world?
Hello. It's very nice to meet you.
We are both going to draw Aiden and then compare the results. Man versus machine.
I am taking some time to absorb the face of Ada.
One surprise for me is that Ada expresses her creativity through abstract art rather than creating photorealistic drawing.
She doesn't even need to look at what she's drawing.
I'm intrigued to see how it compares with mine.
Okay, time's up. Let's have a look.
So, looking at Ada's drawing, I can now see her marks.
I think that is a drawing of her owner's testicles crushed against her eyes, because I think that has happened.
I think she actually draws how you'll look as you die.
Well, that would be great, wouldn't it? Ada had done a drawing of Aiden in the process of being killed. And then you see Ada's eyes flash red and she says, "It begins." But I know it's not very one show.
They made this perfect face, and then her arm was just a stump because they spent the entire budget on blowjob lips.
The Queen couldn't attend the Remembrance Sunday service. Prince Andrew was going to stand in for her, but unfortunately the dates of World War I, 14 to 18, gave him an erection. And for legal reasons, he's not allowed to remember anything that happened before 2009. Everyone's got through the pandemic in their own way. Matt Hancock watched tens of thousands of people die and managed to stay horny. That takes talent. You think that graph's pointing upwards? Fucking look at this. If we've learned anything in the pandemic, it's that elder care in this country can be a lottery. But then on the other hand, old people, they love a lottery, don't they? Maybe if you got a bingo collar to give them their diagnosis, they might start to look forward to it. Legs 11, you're off to heaven. Clickety-click, rheumatoid arthritis. On its own, your husband in a fortnight. A guy blew himself up in a taxi in Liverpool. The driver, Dave Perry, showed incredible bravery by agreeing to become a taxi driver in Liverpool. That probably wasn't in his worst 10 fares. DC Comics are bringing out a bisexual Superman. A bisexual Superman who's in a gay relationship. And I like the idea of being gay with Superman. He could use his X-ray vision to watch his cock moving inside my body. I would like to get a blowjob off Superman because he might suck me inside out. Did you come? No, that's my spine. I also wouldn't like to give Superman a blowjob. When he comes, it might be like the Kennedy assassination. Prince Charles spoke out about the environment. Prince Charles said, "It's rare to hear such despair in young people's voices that aren't coming from his brother's bedroom." The royal family have done their bit to reduce emissions by never flying the jewels they own back to the countries they were stolen from. The real worry is that the Earth is going to get so hot it'll cause the royal family to emerge from their larval form. A new Prince Andrew tearing its way out of the body of the old, flapping beautiful iridescent wings, yet still refusing to fly to America. Group has been dominating the headlines in recent weeks. Lorry drivers' favourite, Insulate Britain. Here we see their spokesman getting a bizarre grilling by Richard Madeley in the unforgiving studio glare of Good Morning Britain.
How can you possibly know what's in the vehicles that you're holding up for hours? For example, if you just bear with me on this question, how do you know that there aren't parents with a child who's going to an absolutely vital appointment with their cancer specialist? How do you know there's not a funeral cortege and that people are going to their mother's or father's funeral? How do you know that there aren't people going to them is a vital job interview, which might actually be to do with helping to save the planet? Can you justify that?
I'd be furious.
Well, then why are you doing it?
Because as I've just said, what we do in the next 3 to 4 years will determine the future of humanity.
What would you say to the widow of a man who yesterday, and this could have happened, it didn't, but it could have happened, and if you continue with this protest, it could well happen, who died behind the wheel of stuck traffic of a heart attack?
I mean, there's so much to unpick there. First of all, a funeral on the M25? How fast is that fucking funeral going?
It's also like if you miss your imaginary kid's cancer appointment and they're like, "Oh, you missed your 15-minute grace period, no chemo for you. You know, should have made a wish for a hovercraft, you know."
How can someone be that angry and that confrontational at 8 a.m? I feel sorry for Judy. I bet every day it's like, "Morning, Richard. Is
It's professional, sort of like middle-aged men whatabouters. It's so tedious and exhausting. So I went plant-based a few years ago because for environmental reasons, right? I absolutely love meat. I'm a farmer's daughter. I didn't want to give it up. I just thought it was the best thing for the planet. And then I go to a wedding and that's the kind of bell end that I'm sat next to. And they're like, "Okay, don't you miss bacon? Don't you miss bacon?" But I'm going to miss Blackpool more when it's underwater.
Next up, let's sit back and enjoy the death of the United States. This week, Kamala Harris briefly became the first female president as Joe Biden had a medical procedure. In another first, it was the first time the surgeons had to wake someone up to give them the anaesthetic. Times are tough for the US. COVID threatens the American way of life. How are you supposed to carry out a workplace shooting on Zoom? Here's a grim glimpse of how real Americans are reacting to the COVID pandemic in some high-definition, low-IQ footage from a revealing Florida school board meeting.
I am so shocked as a mother that we all collectively have to come up here again and again. All we want is the best for our children. We love our children. We are not afraid. If you're afraid, put the mask on your child, keep your child at home, go to a school that has masks. Maybe the reason why we have people in the hospitals, all this mask wearing. Did we ever think of that? Did we ever think of that? I love my children and I...
Your next speaker, please.
Children are much smarter than we give them credit for. And I want to give you this. I believe the children are our future. Teach them well and let them lead the way. Show them all the beauty they express inside. Give them a sense.
Thank you, ma'am. Next speaker, please.
How you doing? My name is Brian Biggs. Biggs, B-I-G-G-S, not Briggs. I want to talk about the real pandemic, child sex trafficking. By putting masks on these kids' face, you can't identify any of them. So by the 9 of you already voting on this, tells me you guys support sex trafficking.
Easter, you're out of order.
Good.
I mean, if that was how my PTA meetings were, I would go. Like, if it was...
Frankie, I mean, you're one of my favorite comedians I've ever seen in my life, but I think we can both agree that it's very likely that you'll die without ever doing anything as funny as that song.
Were I to stand up at a PTA meeting and start singing Whitney Houston, I mean, what would people think? People would think he has got pipes. That's what they think.
They look like all the genres of people who haggle at charity shops. And like the stuff they go through as well, so there's like a dramatic monologue, and then there's a bad song, and then there's a guy sort of dancing around the idea of stand-up. It's literally racist accent away from being my school talent show. Like, it's all there.
I think they want to be discovered. Like, that's the reason the guy at the end, he was like, it's Biggs, B-I-G-G-S, not Briggs, because he wants people to know his handle. Also, the amount at which he was angry at, like, the potential misspelling of his name was almost equal to the child sex trafficking.
Next up, we're living in the blooper reel at the end of British history. With crumbling supply chains and padlocked fuel pumps, we're bracing ourselves for Christmas shortages. Here's how one plucky investigative reporter captured the desperate moment that horrified customers realised the unthinkable had come to pass. McDonald's had run out of milkshakes.
2 strawberry milkshakes, please.
Sorry, our milkshake machine isn't working at the moment.
No milkshakes?
No milkshakes, sorry.
We saw how the McDonald's milkshake shortage was affecting others.
Disappointed. What are you going to do now? Maybe probably go. There's an ice cream shop around the corner. Probably go get a milkshake in the ice cream shop.
So I actually tried to order a milkshake because I always get milkshakes when I come to McDonald's and there's a shortage.
How do you feel?
Distraught.
And eventually our tour of drive-thrus in the name of journalism paid off. So, the last milkshake's out at McDonald's. Oh, fantastic. There is now a serious pattern of shortages though. Nando's closed 45 restaurants because there was no chicken. KFC had to impose menu changes, and now a spokesperson for the Golden Arches is blaming the latest shortage on supply chains. We were still holding some of the last McDonald's milkshakes in the country though, and so we did the right thing.
Thank you.
Nectar.
I've seen people who needed a blood transfusion in less of a panic.
I really like how it's like fixating on the milkshake thing. Like there was other stuff in that report. It was like Nando's closed down some restaurants because there was no chicken. KFC just changed the menu. They both serve only chicken. Nando's closed down completely. KFC was like, we can make it work.
Had so much confidence in themselves and be like, put that spice on anything.
Yeah, the Colonel knows.
Could you just have a sort of a seasoned bucket?
It's my nickname in uni.
So is there any hope for Britain? Actually, yes, there is. At any moment, the Hadron Collider might trigger an instantaneous collapse of the universe, which would cheerfully obliterate the UK, along with the entire wretched fabric of the space-time continuum. But in the absence of that happy event, here's a harrowing clip from this morning, where an ever-glossy Holly and Phil are given an excruciating glimpse into the brokenness of Britain.
Friends Claire Vickers and Barry Douglas have a story that they will never live down or easily forget.
Well, on a drunken night out in August, the pair decided to break into a water park in Hampshire. Taking advantage of the empty park, they headed for the water slide.
As a result of their antics, the friends are now temporarily in wheelchairs after breaking their legs and shattering their feet.
You were out, I think you'd been to the pub in the day and you'd obviously been drinking, and then you went to a house party and that's when you met up with Barry. Whose idea was it then to go to the water park?
Mine.
It was your idea.
Have you done it before?
Yeah.
I think one of the things also, which will be quite important in a minute in the story, is the fact that you decided to skinny dip.
No, I didn't.
You didn't. No, but Barry did. And so you're going down the slide now.
Yes, I am there. 100%.
100%.
There are comical elements to this. However, what happened at the end of that slide is incredibly serious because instead of shooting at the other end, there is a barrier across the end of the slide.
Yeah.
What was that barrier made of?
Steel.
Yeah. Steel.
I mean, it's an astonishing piece of television. Absolutely. To me, that's above The Sopranos.
But Holly and Phil are really like hard working, aren't they? So they're on a conveyor belt of this thing. So I would imagine they hardly know what's coming up. So they see two people in wheelchairs and they're like, oh, this is going to be really harrowing. And then halfway through they're like, oh no, this is hilarious.
I like the way they framed it, like it was an epidemic that everyone was going to these water parks breaking in. No, it's just you.
They were shagging in the tube, right?
Clearly.
Yeah.
God, that never occurred to me. Aren't they going down? Wouldn't you go down quite... Wouldn't you go down quite fast? Wouldn't you go...
If it was me, she'd have gone down head first, mate. And finally, soon COVID, the economy and climate will all be sorted out by the destruction of humanity in an all-consuming apocalypse. The final euthanizing of humanity by AI may not be the exciting Terminator-style extinction we're all praying for. It may occur quietly, almost gently, as our feeble consciousness dissolves into the oceanic intelligence of a silicon god. Doing his best to hasten this merger is Elon Musk, a man with the air of a vampire with a slow metabolism. He's been putting neural links into the brains of pigs. I don't know why. If I wanted to know what a pig was thinking, I'd just ask it as we lay smoking our post-coital cigarettes. Here he tries to explain himself in a typically stilted presentation.
The beeps you're hearing are real-time signals from the neural link in Gertrude's head. She's had the implant for 2 months. So this is a healthy and happy pig with an implant that is 2 months old and working well. Yeah. When we have, say, one of our pigs on a treadmill, pig on a treadmill. It's funny concept, really. We have the predicted position of the joints, and then we measure the actual position of the joints. You can see that they're almost exactly aligned. So we're able, with a wireless neural implant, to actually predict the position of all of the limbs.
I mean, I wanted the pig with the Neuralink. I was hoping when they unveiled that, it would be like drinking a brandy and reading a magazine and just kind of look over it and go, I'm in the most exquisite pain.
Some of that music, though, was quite pleasing, though. I mean, it was a nice sort of emo... can I play the pig? You know, that's what I like to do.
I think we all know you can play the pig.
It's not what it looks like. I was just trying to get a tune out of it.
Britain's disgusting Eurovision entry. But before I go, I'd like to leave you with this thought. Our lives are full of unanswered questions. Do other serial killers consider Harold Shipman to be a bit of a goal poacher? Does the R in R. Kelly stand for rape? Do cats know that their arseholes aren't normal? And is this why they keep showing them to us? Does this look normal to you, buddy? I'm worried it looks a bit like a ham Cheerio. But the greatest conundrum of all is our mortality. And it's to our middle-aged and older viewers I'd like to talk tonight. Nobody really warns you about getting older. Someone sits you down at puberty and has a talk. No one tells you at 45 that in a couple of years' time you're going to be ejaculating like a party popper from a flood-damaged pound shop. That one day you'll develop brown spots in your skin, look down at yourself and realise that if you were a banana, you'd be thrown away. I've been thinking about mortality because this week Colin Powell, a key instigator of the Iraq War, died. God, I miss him. Yes, he made mistakes, but who among us hasn't told some lies that led to the death of several 100,000 civilians? I know I have. Powell died from COVID, but for old time's sake, he tried to blame it on Saddam Hussein. He was snatched from us all too soon at the age of just 84. That's right, the curse of 84 strikes again. Why is it that so many celebrities mysteriously die aged 84? Joe DiMaggio, Sir Isaac Newton, Salvador Dali, Oswald Mosley, and Angela Lansbury, who I've included because I wanted to put a woman on the list. Angela Lansbury is actually still alive. At the time of recording. when the cursed spirit of Colin Powell was ushered into the club of '84, the blood-stained velvet rope would have been unclipped and lifted by none other than the saxophonist who played the riff on Jerry Rafferty's 1978 hit Baker Street, Raphael Ravenscroft, who lived a mere 36 years after the song was released, dying in 2014 at the age of, you guessed it, 60. It shows how powerful the curse of the '84 club can be, reaching back through time to strike down Ravenscroft 24 years early. A lesson for us all. Good night.